I grew up in a small town where, for better or worse, nothing ever happened. It was one of those quiet places where every day felt like a copy of the last, and the biggest conflicts usually came down to neighbors arguing about fences or gossip. No murders, no robberies, at least, not back then. But one summer in the late 1990s, something shattered the town's quiet routine. Each year, during the summer break, the town held a traditional festival rooted in ancient pagan beliefs. Locals said it was meant to scare away evil spirits and ensure a bountiful harvest. Full of attractions, food stalls, music, and masks. That particular year was special, since it would be the first time I went to the festival with my friends instead of my parents. I was 10 years old back then, and I still remember the excitement. Weeks before the event, we had already planned everything we were going to do. Me and my best friend at the time, John, who was the same age as me, and my cousin Chris, who was older, 14. The three of us used to hang out and play together all the time. According to tradition, every person in the village had to dress up in a terrifying costume, something like a monster or a spirit, in order to drive away the bad energy that threatened the town and its harvest. It was completely normal to see disturbing costumes everywhere during that time. In fact, John and I had spent weeks preparing our own outfits. The day finally arrived. My friends Chris and John met at my house, where we got into our costumes, grotesque figures, distorted masks, everything needed to honor the tradition. Before heading out, my parents gave me one condition: we had to stick together. Chris, being the oldest, was in charge. That night began as one of the best of my life, but it ended as the last time I ever felt truly safe. The fair was surreal, like stepping into a strange dream. Lights flickered in vivid colors, and every face had monster masks and disturbing costumes. It was chaotic and magical. We laughed, played games, and we stuffed ourselves with fair food. We were having a great time. At some point, we sat down to catch our breath, and that's when he appeared. A man in a terrifying clown costume approached my friends and me. His outfit was twisted, not the joyful kind, but something that felt off. His voice was deep yet strangely welcoming. We didn't recognize him, but we didn't feel threatened. In our town, danger was something distant, foreign. He asked if we were having fun. We told him about the games, the food, the music. He nodded beneath the paint and then said something that thrilled us. He had a special attraction, a haunted house. According to him, he'd spent weeks preparing it, and only brave kids like us were worthy of experiencing it. We were intrigued. We asked where it was, since we hadn't seen it in the pamphlet. That's when he told us it wasn't part of the official fair. It was set up on an abandoned plot of land about 10 minutes away on foot. He claimed the organizers hadn't given him space, but promised it was worth it. Johan and I exchanged excited glances. It sounded amazing. Chris, on the other hand, stayed silent. The clown noticed his hesitation and tried to win him over. He said other kids had gone already and that he'd personally walk us back when we were done. Chris reluctantly agreed, probably pressured by our enthusiasm. So, we followed him. We walked across the dry field, past tall grass and crumbling fences. That part of town felt forgotten. Johan and I chatted excitedly about what the house might look like. We even joked about entering one by one for maximum terror. Chris stayed silent, tense. After 10 minutes, we saw a house. It was abandoned, rotten, the windows were shattered, the walls decaying, like something was waiting. In that moment, I believed what the clown told us was true and that he had put real effort into recreating that haunted house aesthetic. The clown went in first, telling us he'd set up the scares and that we could enter whenever we were ready. As soon as he crossed the door frame, Chris stopped us. His voice was different now. He said we needed to run now. Confused, I asked why. What was wrong with the house? Chris reminded me that my parents said he was in charge and I needed to listen. Then he told me something that turned my blood to ice. That wasn't an attraction, it was a real house. He'd been there before, months earlier, on a dare. This house had been abandoned for years. The decay wasn't staged, it was real, and the original owners had died there during a plague, decades ago. At that point, my excited turned into panic. I could feel it in my chest. Chris grabbed my arm and whispered, "Calm down, we have to run." And so we did. We sprinted through the field like something was chasing us. I looked back. Through one of the broken windows, I saw him, the clown, standing still, watching us. We made it back to the fair, terrified. Most of the stalls were packing up. I asked Chris what that had been, maybe some kind of spirit from the owners of the abandoned house. He told me he didn't think it was a ghost, but a real person. Someone dressed as a clown who took advantage of the chaos at the fair to trick kids and lure them somewhere secluded, somewhere no one could hear them. Hearing Chris's explanation terrified me. The thought of a madman in clown makeup roaming the fair, deceiving children and dragging them to that abandoned house was horrifying. I looked at John and he was just as scared as I was, maybe even more. But then we heard a woman screaming. She was desperately asking people if they'd seen her son, a 7-year-old. She'd let walk the fair on his own. Johan and I froze. Chris too. We couldn't help but think that terrifying clown had something to do with it. It wasn't far-fetched to imagine that other children might have already fallen for his tricks. We approached the woman and told her everything. The clown, the house, the invitation. She panicked and called the local police. Our town had only 2 officers. Crime was rare, nothing like this had ever happened. One of them came. We explained everything and guided him to the house. We all went together. When we arrived, he went in alone, flashlight in hand. We waited outside. The silence was terrifying. Then we heard a scream. The officer came out, pale. His voice shook as he said he found the body of a young boy inside. It matched the description the mother had given. We were all in shock. Despite his experience, the officer had probably never seen anything like this, especially in such a quiet town. Just like us, it was his first time facing something like this. The child's mother was devastated, crying, screaming, begging to see her son, but the officer stopped her. He wouldn't allow her to see him in that condition. The officer then called the police from a neighboring town for assistance. He escorted us back to our homes. He said the man might still be nearby. He explained the situation to our parents. The fear in their eyes was something I won't forget. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about the child, what he went through, and what might have happened to us. The next day, the entire town learned the truth. A man dressed as a clown had used the chaos of the festival to lure children to an abandoned house and commit unspeakable acts. No one knew who he was, no one knew where he came from, or worse, if he was one of us. To this day, it remains the worst crime ever recorded in my hometown, and though the years have passed, that clown still visits me. Not in person, in my nightmares.